Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the X-Men. They're among the most iconic comic book heroes in history, and they simply would not exist without Stan Lee. The visionary behind Marvel Comics lived a life almost as incredible as the characters he created.
I'm pretty proud of the fact that some of the stories that I wrote so many years ago are still being read and hopefully enjoyed by the public, and people are making motion pictures based on them and television series.
Spider-Man debuted in 1962 and became Lee's most successful comic book creation.
Spider-Man is my favorite because he's the most popular and he's known and loved worldwide.
Lee's spidey senses were tingling. Years later, in 2002, the first Spider-Man film was released and was a blockbuster hit.
As a child, I didn't really know anybody who shot webs or crawled on buildings or wore suits of armor and flew or anything like that. I just imagined them, and there they were.
He also imagined Thor, the Incredible Hulk, and the Fantastic Four. They were flawed people with extraordinary powers.
I never had any idea that these characters would last this long. In fact, I and the people I worked with who co-created them with me, the many talented artists, we just hoped that the books would sell and we'd continue to get our salary and be able to pay our rent. The movies have done so much for the characters. The movies have given the comic book characters even more prestige.
The native New Yorker was born Stanley Morgan Lieber. He had humble beginnings, but his love for comics took him much farther than he ever dreamed. He also earned a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
In a million years, I never thought, that I'd get something like this.
As his creations became larger than life on the big screen, he also kept a feverish pace, making appearances at events like Comic-Con in San Diego.
How are you? Glad to see you.
Though his life seemed charmed, it wasn't without adversity. Lee was married to his wife Joan for over 60 years, and they had 2 daughters. However, his youngest only lived for a few days. In his 80s, Lee was involved in various lawsuits against Marvel and Disney over the span of 7 years. In September 2012, he had surgery for a pacemaker and joked he was trying to become more like his Iron Man character, Tony Stark.
To me, the most important thing in the world is to keep busy, and I'm happy to say I'm lucky enough to still be busy.
The Stan Lee Foundation was also a passion project for Lee, who seemed to believe with great power comes great responsibility.
What we concentrate on is education, educating children.
Stan Lee!
I never would have dreamed years ago that anything like this would happen.
The king of comics, who was adored worldwide, was most proud of his family and his comic heroes. Perhaps Lee will be remembered as a legendary innovator with an uncanny ability to capture the imagination.
Excelsior!